Nobody wants to be last, especially the last to learn something. You really don't want to be the last one at work to find out your girlfriend's cheating.
You're not the guy.
You cheated on me? When I specifically asked you not to?
The guy that figures it out last. Would you put that guy in charge? Of course not. But we did. We put Joe Biden in charge of the country. And he continues to be the last one to know what's happening. Joe did warn us that he's not a mind reader, but all we're asking for, Joe, is just be a reader. Read the newspaper, read the room, read the writing on the wall.
Should the American people prepare for a recession?
No. Look, they've been saying this now every 6 months they say this. Every 6 months they look down the next 6 months and see what's going to happen. It hadn't happened yet. It hadn't. There's no guarantee that they're going to be. I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession.
I thought this was the greatest economy of all time. Isn't that what they said? How did we go from Build Back Better to a slight recession? The economy hasn't grown in a year, all year. And Hunter's going to have to hold more than 10 for the big guy because have you seen the markets? They're down 25% this year. And if Joe Biden says something's not going to happen, I guarantee you it's going to happen. The Taliban won't take over Afghanistan. Inflation's going away. He's going to crush the virus. Yeah. Was he even supposed to say the word recession? He can't even read what's on his note card. Well, he can't even hold it.
We passed so much legislation that significantly makes a point about.
Yeah. Biden did get a lot of legislation passed, but so what? I can cook a lot of dinners doesn't mean they taste any good. Traditional American energy is the key to getting us out of the recession. But J.P. Morgan's CEO, kind of a smart guy, says we're getting energy completely wrong.
I think we're getting energy completely wrong. People had this bad assumption that high oil prices and gas prices will reduce consumption, reduce CO2. No. Poor nations, India, China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, are turning back on coal plants, as are rich nations called Germany, Netherlands, France. We have it completely backwards. And in my view, America should have been pumping more oil and gas, and it should have been supported. We have a longer-term problem now, which is the world is not producing enough oil and gas to reduce coal, make the transition.
Look at Europe right now. They're fighting over fuel in Europe. Why do they fight? Well, because the windmills and the solar panels aren't working there for the people. They ration fuel in Europe. There's lines like Carter had in the 70s. What do you think is going to happen when we depend on China to go green? Lines and fights. Do you want to get into a fight at the gas station? If the Europeans are throwing punches over fuel, what do you think the Americans are going to do? Exactly. Things are getting so bad in Europe that even Greta Thunberg admits maybe going green isn't too good of an idea.
For the climate issue, are the nuclear power plants the better choice for the time being now?
It depends. If we have them already running, I feel that it's a mistake to close them down in order to focus on coal.
Literal children are telling us we need nuke plants. This is like the Beatles. What happens in Europe always comes to the U.S. Gas prices are heading back up to $4 a gallon right before the midterms. And since Joe won't let us drill, he's begging the Saudis to pump more. Biden flew to the kingdom, fist bumped the crown prince, and expected our allies to get their pump on. What were the Saudis going to do? Well, were they going to increase production and lower the price, or were they going to decrease production and raise the price? Right before the big OPEC meeting, according to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. officials called their counterparts in Saudi Arabia and other big Gulf producers with an urgent appeal. Delay the decision for another month. Why a month? Why not a week or 2 months? What's so special about a month from now? Wait a second. Isn't that when people head to the polls for the midterms? It is, isn't it? Doesn't it kind of sound like Joe Biden is demanding the Saudis do him a political favor? Well, that's what the Saudis thought too. Wall Street Journal says they viewed it as a political gambit by the Biden administration to avoid bad news ahead of the U.S. midterm elections. So they said no to Joe. They're going to cut production and increase oil prices. But wait a second. Are you telling me that Joe Biden, the statesman, the former vice president, the former chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Mr. Diplomat, Mr. I've been to every country and I know every leader, wasn't he going to work his charm on the Crown Prince? That didn't work? Well, apparently the meeting Biden had with him was a disaster. According to the report, in August, the Saudis had planned to push OPEC to raise oil production by 500,000 barrels a day in an effort to please Mr. Biden. But Prince Mohammed ordered the increase lowered to a token 100,000 barrels a day after the Biden visit. What did Joe do during that meeting that made the Saudis so angry? Did Joe do what he usually does and lie and tell weird stories? Did he tell the prince he was raised a Muslim? Or that he took a pilgrimage to Mecca? Did he order a BLT at the palace? We thought Joe was the adult in the room, right? But Joe's lost more allies than any president I can remember. The Saudis don't like us anymore. Our ally Ukraine is a pile of rubble. The Mexicans think our border is just a suggestion. But all Biden cares about, politics. His White House is saying, quote, the OPEC decision was unhelpful. It threatens to drive up American gasoline prices ahead of the November 8 midterms. Wait, is the Biden White House, are they pressuring the Saudis to pump more oil to help the Democrats in the midterms? Now, since they didn't, Biden's promising to retaliate. He's threatening to withhold military aid to our allies if they don't do him a political favor.
Blumenthal and Khanna right now, they're calling for a stopping of U.S. arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Do you support that legislation?
We're going to react to Saudi Arabia, and they're doing a consultation when they come back, and we will take action.
Is Biden threatening to cancel over $100 million in military sales to the Saudis? He's making it clear to Middle Eastern allies that if they want those missiles, they better serve up the oil and give them a political win. And Democrats are just blatantly announcing the political shakedown. Watch.
There need to be consequences. We agree completely. One of the consequences should be a temporary halt in arms sales.
What galls many of us is the ingratitude. We provide Saudi Arabia with over 70% of their arms. One of those consequences is suspending the arms sales to the Saudis.
Joe and the Democrats are twisting the Saudis' arm until they give them what they want? Isn't there a word for that? Feels like the Democrats use it a lot with Trump. What's that word again? Maybe Joe can spark our memory with this tweet. From that year, 2019, President Trump withheld congressionally appropriated aid to Ukraine unless they granted him a political favor. It's the definition of quid pro quo. This is no joke. Trump continues to put his own personal political interests ahead of the national interest. He must be impeached. Quid pro quo, that's it again. Remember when they impeached Trump for asking Zelensky for delaying aid to Ukraine so they'd do him a political favor? Remember that whole thing? Said it was a quid pro quo. Do you see any difference with that and what Joe's doing right now? It's literally word for word, the same as 2019.
A series of events that looks like extortion, withholding aid to an ally, and then, quote unquote, asking for a favor to essentially benefit yourself politically.
Quid pro quo, bribery. The bribe is to grant or withhold military assistance.
The idea that somebody would withhold badly needed weaponry for political reasons at home is beyond the pale.
I mean, if anything, this is worse. Zelensky didn't even think it was a quid pro quo. Meanwhile, the Saudis actually thought Joe Biden was being political. And the aid was delayed. Their Democrats now are just saying, don't send it, that's it. Where are all the Democrats calling for impeachment? You won't hear them. Because what Trump did was never really an impeachable offense from the start. Of course not. They just spun it that way. And now, when their guy does it, 10 times worse, quiet.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.